All right. So, Kristy, always a pleasure to see you and talk to you. Author of so many of my favorite books, but today we're talking about Feels Like Falling. So, first, tell me a little bit, quick synopsis without giving away too much about this one.
Okay. Well, really briefly, Feels Like Falling is about two women from very different worlds who meet when they're both having a really bad day and end up being sort of thrust together in this unusual situation and helping each other move forward into what I like to call happily ever after, the sequel.
Such a feel-good book, and I honestly think that so many people need something like this right now, this year especially. So if you
Yeah.
just need a breath of fresh air, personally, I think that this is the best way to get it. And
Yeah.
so this series, I'm calling it the middle because my favorite place to be is in the middle of a good book. So what do you want your readers to feel when they're in the middle of this?
I think in the middle of this book in particular, everything has kind of fallen apart at this point, and then everything's sort of starting to come back together. And my favorite line in this book probably happens somewhere around the middle. It's sometimes when you're speeding through thin air, the brakes worn out and the engine shot. Maybe it feels like you're falling, but in reality, that's when you're learning to fly. And I think the middle of this book is where you start to realize Gray and Diana are going to be okay. They're going to get it back together. And I think you hit on something. I actually wrote this book in 2016. Of course, waited 3 years to even send it out. The Peachtree Bluff series came out first. And I'm so glad it came out now because I feel like in a lot of ways it's my most hopeful book and it's maybe my happiest book. And it's a true story of friendship. I mean, it's about women from different worlds coming together. And I think we're seeing that so much right now that, women who might not necessarily have considered themselves best friends are coming together now for common goals. And so that's really what the story is about.
Super important. So for you as an author, how do you feel when you're in the middle of writing a book?
Mm. So we call it the soggy middle.
So it's not a good place.
It's not a bad place necessarily, but the beginning you're in that, it's like falling in love. You're in that like infatuation period where you just want to be with this book all the time and you're so excited about this brilliant story that you're telling. And then, when you're getting toward the end, you're watching it all come together and you're feeling all these little bits and pieces the little threads start to come together and form this story. When you're in the middle, there's so many questions. It's like, is this going to happen or is this going to happen? Or what do I want to do here? Is this character well developed enough? Maybe I should bring this character in a little more. So I think the middle is the hardest for me. And I hear that from a lot of authors, that the middle is where you're really having to start making your own decisions about things. It's like your inspiration can kind of start to wane and you're not seeing the finish line yet. It's like the middle of a marathon.
Yeah, I've done that, and that's not a good
Yeah.
feeling. But that's
Mm-mm.
really funny that well, thank you for struggling through it because it's my favorite part, which is weird. Um, can we talk about Peachtree Bluff and what's next, or is that
Yes.
still under wraps?
I don't think it's a little under wraps, but it's just us,
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's just us and anyone watching.
Anyone
But we're
watching? No, I'm
friends,
teasing.
so
I
give
know.
me all the dirt.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I can't say too much, but it has been optioned for TV. We've written the pitches. We've actually did our first network pitch yesterday, which was really, really fun. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm doing this right now. This is so fun. Like, talk about surprises in your life. But who knows? It's a weird time to try to sell a TV show. There's no doubt about that. But the team that's working on it is absolutely fantastic and brilliant and amazing. And if anyone can pull it off, it's them. So it's
I'm
been fun.
so excited. I love seeing my favorite stories come to life on the bigger,
Me
small
too.
screen. And
Me too.
as soon as I read this, I knew that this series was going to be on a screen. Like it has to be. It's
I
so
hope so.
good. Knock on wood, but it's going to be. So good luck with
And the
that.
story's a little different, which is kind of great. I always like to see that too. Like it's a tiny bit different than the series. You're still getting very much the same things, but it actually starts a little earlier than I started the series, which is fun.
And are you there? Like, do you have creative input with the
Yeah,
team?
so I'm
Okay.
actually writing right now. And if all goes well, would be writing the pilot. Probably not the whole series just because I don't live in LA and I'm not going to. So,
Right.
but with everything going on right now, it's kind of the ideal time for someone like me to be able to step in and work on a project like this because it's all virtual.
Right. Oh, it's so exciting. I want all the best things for you because you're
Thank you.
amazing and put so much good stuff out into the world.
Thank
So
you.
for anybody who hasn't yet read Feels Like Falling or the Peachtree Bluff series, do it as soon as possible because it's awesome. And follow Kristy on social. What's your social handle?
Instagram at Kristy W. Harvey, and I'm Kristy Woodson Harvey on Facebook. And I love Pinterest. So if you're on Pinterest, it's My Design Chic.
So good to see you as always. Thank you,
So good
Kristy.
to see you. Thank you, Ashley.